We're excited to unveil Half-Life Alyx, our flagship VR game, this Thursday. Yeah. Where is this gonna be shown? Is this gonna be shown? This just links to a tweet. This link. But I'm guessing we can... Are they broadcasting it on Twitter? They might be broadcasting it on Twitter. YouTube? You can't watch that on Twitch? It's an announcement. Who cares? Can I or can I not? Dude, I opened so many crates here, man. Alright. Of course I can. Never heard of Steam TV. Can I even watch this? Never heard of Steam TV. Watch on Steam.tv. I am on Steam.tv. It says it's live. Like the website says, oh, it's live. But it just takes you to this link and it's not live. HLVR live.
I'm here. So what's the plan?
If we can get this weapon, what we're doing here could change things forever.
There's no straight shot to the vault. I'm gonna head inside, find a way out. Got it.
I'm with you every step of the way.
You're gonna need a gun! Don't worry, it's unloaded. It's unloaded now!
Combine chatter's really picking up. They know you're coming. You need to get out of here, now.
Are all the movements scripted?
They've got Dad.
They're gonna find out what he knows, and then they're gonna kill him.
All this is my fault. I never told you. I couldn't. I'm so sorry, baby.
You will not save him. Alyx Vance alone cannot prevent his fate.
Close your eyes, honey!
So wait, the movement is scripted? It looks good. Oh shit. No, I would prefer it to be... Oh, thank you. I would prefer it to be scripted movement. No, it's not. It's physics based, not a new thing. What does that mean? Physics based. I'm looking at this guy's Twitter that you want me to. Where's this game in the timeline? Probably after Half-Life 2, right? No, between 1 and 2. Oh, so no story updates. The easy way out, huh? Might be worth getting a VR headset for, I mean, as a streamer, as me. Like a new one.
Hey guys, it's Geoff Keighley, and I am here at Valve in Seattle, Washington. This is such a special day for me, and I'm sure for many of you, because Valve is ready to reveal its next project. In 1997, when I was going to college, I came up here to Seattle and met with Gabe Newell and the team when they were making their first game, of course, Half-Life. And I wrote a story about the making of it called The Final Hours of Half-Life. I did it again for Half-Life 2, and today I'm happy to announce that in 2020, I will be writing another Final Hours about the next project. So what is it? Well, it's a new Half-Life project. It's called Half-Life Alyx, a full-blown virtual reality prequel to Half-Life 2. And right here on floor 14, just off the lobby, for the past few years, a team of more than 50 folks at Valve have been working in absolute secrecy building this project. They're working on it right here now. I've been up here quietly over the past couple of years, chronicling the development of that game. I'm sure you have lots of questions about this. I can't believe it's actually happening. And today we're going to give you a little bit of a taste of what's been going on at Valve over the past decade, why now is the right time to talk about this project and bring it out in 2020. Here we go. I know we'll get into this in Final Hours, but there have been a lot of other games that you guys have worked on in the past 9 years that people have just never heard about or never shipped, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, along the way, building Source 2, we tried various games in different franchises. And each of them kind of moved the engine forward in some way and explored some idea. And they were all backburnered, for good reasons, I think. But they were more like milestones along the way.
Normally VR.
Now with Half-Life Alyx.
VR is literally the opposite of normal.
And I think it'd be really fun to delve into those.
Normies can't afford that shit.
I think some people think that, Valve's off.
Very dedicated basement
money or
owners who buy some VR.
Not making games, and you guys, been here working on a bunch of projects. But then I think it, brings obviously to this one and why this, why now? And some people would probably cynically say Valve has to go back to making games now that Epic's chipping away at Steam and Artifact that wasn't necessarily the hit everyone wanted it to be. And that's not what happened. But can you maybe kind of talk about how you got to the point of Half-Life Alyx, and we'll get into the fact that it's VR and whatnot. But how did this sort of begin as an idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to go back to around 2016 or so when the Vive shipped, right? And I think there was our feeling after we shipped the Vive and the lab was aligned, I think, fairly cleanly with what we were seeing a bunch of customers say at the time, which was where's the big VR title, right? Where's the thing? A lot of people could see the promise of
time, Dr. Freeman. Is it really that time again? It seems as if you only just arrived. You've done a great deal in a small time span. You've done so well, in fact, that I've received some interesting offers for your services.
I think the lab was, a combination of our efforts at understanding the mechanics.
I'm a god gamer.
That is true. A lot of the industry as a whole was doing all kinds of really interesting experimentation and mechanics of VR.
No, I lost what I was going to say.
And then so when customers were saying, "Where's the big VR game?" one of the things we had to do around that time is to sort of ask, "Well, what do they mean then?" Because we thought the lab was a big game. We thought a lot of those other great indie devs and so on were making great VR games.
Why don't they have arms?
It seemed like
in VR games. Why don't they make the arms so the arms is shown a little bit, like the wrist and the top forearm instead of a floating gun.
And if there are many
or a
reasons
floating
why
hand holding a gun,
was and still is hard to justify building something of that scope in VR.
It would look fucking stupid. I think it would look better
because we can certainly invest in longer-term strategies around putting more effort and money and time into something that we may expect a return in for an audience like the VR. So back in 2016, we shipped the lab, and we started doing experiments on what other things we could do with this.
I remember when Gabe was saying we're working on 2 or 3 VR things. True. There was ideas, and so was it?
So if you're holding it like a gangster,
right? VR game was let's do a big VR game.
No, it was definitely really register let's do a big VR game. Okay. And then we explored different franchises. We kind of ruled out multiplayer just because of the small audience for VR.
Right.
And other issues as well with VR avatars and things like that.
Yeah.
And we kind of settled on Portal or Half-Life as interesting. And Portal is so much about, flinging yourself through space and through portals that we thought, well, we're going to make a bunch of people sick with this game.
That's why, like, you know, the lab or the aperture.
I would be sick. I'm already sick playing normal Portal.
Full-on Portal game.
Yeah, full-on Portal game seemed challenging, and then we looked at Half-Life and kind of the DNA of that product, and a bunch of the elements seemed really enhanced by VR.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Half-Life is about this cadence of story, combat,
that is bright,
puzzle, exploration, interaction. You know, environmental art, vistas, things like that, and they all seem to be enhanced or reinvented in interesting ways by VR.
Yeah.
And so as we explored that, I mean, you guys were, I wasn't on the team at the time, but you guys were doing the prototype.
Yeah, with Dario and a small group of us, we basically.
It feels like they're doing nothing at the Valve office though, right?
This short, like 15-minute.
Like, what the fuck are they doing at Valve now?
Was to 15 minutes of a Half-Life experience.
Game development wise.
Half-Life assets. I think we stole Counter-Strike.
Like they have one Dota skin department, one CS:GO skin department.
We needed hands for that.
Right, yeah.
But yes,
One
all
Team
the combat stuff in the
Fortress
game was just running straight.
team of
to AI,
3
just in VR.
Pretending to keep the game alive.
Yeah, it was. It was.
No, I was saying. I remember
very
like
nostalgic.
Over the years, I've always been wondering. It's like, oh, when are they going to touch those assets? Or like secretly, I'd ask about like
what
know,
the fuck
getting
did
the
they
G-Man or
do?
something, and it's like see if they had a new model. But no, it's like the same model from like you know. I mean, Dario, you were on the shipping the original game when I was here in like 1997. You know, even though you guys said, hey, it would be cool to do something Half-Life with this,
Valve has no departments,
right? Like sort of touching that IP again.
Oh, that's true. Valve has kind of like, I want to work on this thing. Is that okay? Kind of.
Was there trepidation when you guys finally
right?
like, yeah, we could do Half-Life, but like,
there's a reason it was a small team doing it at a time.
Maybe that was easier because we started this as an exploration of VR mechanics.
Well, they should have lead game designers that should be doing something.
So
say it.
Focused around
you can
that.
say it.
Obviously, they did this thing.
Like whatever. Just like
and that made it a lot easier because we were just.
It's been a while.
How can we translate?
This is just a VR game, right?
Mechanics to the VR and the hands and the headset, and it was immediately really obvious. There's a lot of potential here with this stuff, and just like one after another, we put these Half-Life mechanics into VR.
Right.
Some of them worked really well. Some of them were pretty comical up front, but there were enough that were really promising that we just sort of organically grew as we saw.
As Dave was saying, like the sort of cadence, the DNA of Half-Life, as we started to put people through this 15-minute sort of prototype, they would spend 45 minutes in it, doing a bunch of stuff that we'd never really seen. They exhibited a bunch of behaviors we'd never really seen players exhibit in the sort of more flat screen 2D, desktop environment, where they spent a lot more time paying attention to the environment and looking around and exploring, and all those that kind of behavior really dovetailed very nicely with the sort of core DNA of Half-Life. And so we were really excited because if players are exhibiting that kind of interest in exploring their environment before we've even really got any reason to explore it in this prototype.
And the fact that it was so incredibly low fidelity.
Yeah,
it was almost comical.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem to matter because like the sense of immersion, the sense of being there was powerful enough that.
No, and now having played through it, I mean, that sense of immersion, it's just, I mean, what you
Gaiman once said, if people keep making VR games that are only ported from real games, VR will never take off. That's why they're developing a Half-Life story mode on VR.
Half-Life VR thing, and people are probably expecting it, small, room with old assets. Like, this is like a full-blown AAA production, which is absolutely incredible to see what you as a team put together. But the big question I think everyone is going to have is like, VR is an emerging market.
But no one wants to be first.
Probably Half-Life fans and customers.
It's a waste of money to be first.
So I'm sure some people are like, great, you're doing Half-Life. We're super excited that's happening. But like, why does this
baiting for someone
VR only?
Counter-Strike.
Is a fair concern for people, right? It's like, are they forcing
no one wants to be the first rushing into B because he'll die.
Is that just because
he catches
you think the opportunity for innovation was sort of in the VR space with this? Like, you're not doing a flat screen version of this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to be delivering a version of this that you could play with a mouse and a keyboard, but like as we said, it began as an exploration of VR.
Okay, are they gonna talk about like locomotives in the game or such?
The amount of interactions this
I don't really care about this too much.
Give us.
I want.
The more we explored it, the more we realized that there's so much opportunity that you can't really translate back to the keyboard. When you
at 10 minutes?
Your hands separately from your
okay,
head,
we're at 10 minutes now.
They're all 3D space, all simultaneously tracking and moving. You just can't really get that with a mouse and keyboard. And when you put that into game mechanics, the kinds of interactions that we can do now, we couldn't possibly do with a mouse and keyboard. Like interacting with doors is like one of the most obvious things. I mean, you've played, so you've seen.
No, it's so fun, and I think the thing, like with what I was saying about the combat stuff, is when you're pulling a clip and putting the gun and like ducking for cover. I mean, there's funny videos of me playing this thing where you're, literally on the floor and ducking. I mean, it's like the combat is truly immersive and visceral, and it reminds me of like classic Half-Life, but it's so much different. I mean, I'm sure you could potentially map some of that to like a mouse or controller, but it's just
the amount of complexity that's going on there. It's so hard to. We would have to map an entire section of the keyboard dedicated just to interacting with doors if we wanted to have that kind of functionality. Whereas it's so intuitive for you because you know how the door works and you can sort of crack it open a little bit with one hand and put
the gun through and like pull it back.
Peek through, you can knock it open, you can drop a grenade in and close the door. And like,
there's one sequence in the game where it's literally like you open it, throw something, and close it, and it's like that's what makes it so unique and fun, and that's what I think Half-Life has always represented is like innovation in play style and what it is, and I think there's innovation there in how you play, which I think, as you said, might not translate to.
Yeah, and like the more we explored those mechanics, the more we realized that in order.
I'm guessing there aren't a lot of events
we'd have to
in this game, though.
Ship a game with
being VR,
was missing a lot of those interactions, and they were playtesting so well that we didn't feel like that was a good idea.
Well, yeah, you'd end up watering down the VR experience, or to try to do both at the same time.
Right.
And the process was really, what can we do with these controllers and the HMD? And so that, as we explored that idea, it just drove us into this place where the game became essentially VR rather than just kind of superficially VR.
Yeah.
And it would be, like Dario said, really hard to support those mechanics on a keyboard.
In a lot of cases, almost impossible.
Yeah. And you were supporting other.
VR. I have a VR headset, but I don't have one here. I have one in
Everyone we can get be able to play this. We want to be able to play it.
I'm waiting to buy a VR headset that's like that blows me away.
Sort of one of the main things, just because, as Dario says,
in
we
terms
do so
of
much with
a new mechanic or something.
We're constantly asking the player to be doing.
Because everything is like it's the same, but with updated.
It's a workout when you're going.
The amazing thing is it's all intuitive.
Updated graphics or resolution, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Something happens. It's all.
No, I said when you're pulling the clip.
Index is also just
it's a whole nother.
Upgraded
it's a
graphics,
new way
really.
of playing,
like wireless and stuff, but
really deep and immersive. And then you layer on, I think the fact that you've got great story here and great characters and the things that people love about Valve.
I just want
in this environment
the
as well.
locomotive thingy
it's
sold.
A prequel. People don't know.
I don't care
starring Alyx.
if it's a fucking super treadmill or something.
Of course, will come up. You wouldn't even say
I just want it
like
sold.
Half-Life 3. I'm sure some people are like, "Why is this
not blown away,
Half-Life
dude.
3? Why is this a prequel?" So, can you sort of explain like timeline how that all kind of came together? Because you said let's do Half-Life, but it's like. Just carry it forward, guys.
Yeah, I think Robin is the perfect person to answer this question.
I don't care so much about the vision getting better. I care more about the
in all honesty, back in 2016 when we started this.
Teleporting is stupid as fuck.
Half-Life was just
the joystick
Half-Life
is
3,
probably fine.
Terrifyingly daunting prospect.
But it's still not the same as walking on a treadmill, probably. Treadmills already exist, but they're expensive as fuck. It's way too expensive for anyone but companies to buy.
We had a way to do this, because by starting with VR and then trying to think about Half-Life and how it worked with it and playtesting those,
you lose all your weight on a treadmill?
We have something we understand well, Half-Life's core gameplay.
Why would you lose all your weight on a treadmill?
With new prospects and new possibilities, and we can do that translation, and then we can watch people play it. And so within a week or two, we're starting to learn. We're able to watch someone go through it. And so it was really easy.
It's all about creating the proper amount of friction.
We're making Half-Life 3
which is
and
the
just
hard
focus
part.
on, let's figure out what people enjoy in this, and let's make
and have
progress. And in some ways, like VR was a little bit you know,
have you
sort of, like,
not
the way the
fall
gravity gun
over
helped
when
us
you
in
stop
Half-Life 2,
running?
where it just that became the tent pole that you could wrap so much
that
around.
innovation around it.
Exactly,
Or
and so VR
stop
became this
jogging
thing that
or
we
whatever.
could wrap everything around.
Kind of like a rail to slide along for design, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think that's
whereas,
fair because
whereas Half-Life 3, if it's like, hey, tomorrow you're working on Half-Life 3, and you're like, oh god.
No, and they said the expectation. As you
Terrifying.
said, there's a safety to sort of doing a VR thing, whereas you said doing a full-blown, you know, Half-Life 3 that has crazy expectations.
Yeah, sort of. It's completely wide open in terms of what you're gonna.
And then we were handed. Well, we found this VR as the platform, as the backbone of this project. We didn't have to find it.
Right.
It was right there.
Yeah, and then by the time, you know, we started to realize, like we started
Throwing
making a
gas in
bunch
the
of
fire
products
that
and
was
seeing
almost
things
lit out.
long before we get to the point of deciding how big is this thing we're building. And so we were able to, by the time you start, I think, really
Good job,
dramatically
Val.
increasing our aspirations for the product and realizing, no, this should be big. We've got a lot already. Then you know we've already got a bunch of success behind us.
The scale of what you're doing, I think you said the characters and the world and the combat, and when you see City 17, like,
they're not gonna talk about the game at all.
True high definition, right? And that's the
Someone said it started then. I don't really care then. Senfidel on the stream says Alyx supports a variety of play environments, locomotion methods, and input devices. Wait, so you can choose what kind of locomotion method you want. I would like I would actually prefer a scripted one. Kind of like a movie, but with obviously gameplay as well, like shooting and doing specific stuff, like Until Dead, but meets like proper shooting gameplay, kinda. In a smart way. I don't know how you would do it. But Until Dawn. But yeah, that's Laser. Thank you for the 2 years, man. It says 24. 24, Milk in a Glass, and Balance, Spory, Twisted, Splint. It's released in 2020. I don't think Valve is definitely not gonna release a headset before back to Cold War.